Addict MMA.
I'm Derek Evil, and this is Addict MMA. Welcome back once again. This is a Strikeforce recap from CBS Saturday Night Fights. This past Saturday, I know this video is posted a couple of days later than you know a normal fight recap, but I got to tell you, it's been a busy week. But anyway, let's get right into this. The whole night sucked. If anybody agrees with me, please post a comment and leave it down below. And if you don't agree with me, please post a comment and leave it down below. Here, let's get right into it. Gegard Mousasi started off the night putting up his light heavyweight championship up against King Mo. Now, to be honest with you, there's a lot of hype between between both of them, a lot of it. And I kind of was buying into the Gegard Mousasi thing because I've seen him fight somebody with a little bit of credibility in that Renato Sobral and Ramos Sokaju. But the thing about this is that he came out and almost at first reminded me of an Anderson Silva fighting Taos Leitez or Patrick Cote or recently Demian Maia. It just, at first, and maybe this was because of commentary from Frank Shamrock and Mauro Ranallo, perhaps, them saying a little bit got into our heads that, oh, well, he said he wanted to lay on his back and tire out King Mo and then attack. And at first it seemed like that was what was going on, and every time he stood back to his feet, I mean, he got up anytime he wanted to against King Mo, straight from his back, from his guard, and then outstruck him for the first round, I'd say for a little bit. But, I don't know what happened. King Mo's wrestling was, I guess, too dominant. Maybe he underestimated King Mo. His Gegard Mousasi's stand-up was very lazy. He didn't pursue, really. He just kind of stood there and threw lazy stuff. And I don't know. I was not impressed with the fight. It was not fun for me to watch. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't care about the outcome. So, whatever. Gegard Mousasi sucked. Mauro Ranallo referred to Strikeforce as, I'm going to quote this, the biggest stage of them all, talking about that event that night. And does anybody else agree with that? Because I sure don't. As a matter of fact, Strikeforce isn't the second greatest stage of them all. There isn't a second greatest stage of them all right now. UFC's got like the top 5 stages. They're the best, the second best, the third best. And for a lot of you out there that go, oh, you're UFC loyal, whatever. I am. I love the UFC. And if it weren't for that company, we wouldn't have mixed martial arts like we do today. So, piss off to all you naysayers out there. Mauro Ranallo, come on, seriously. The greatest stage of them all? Not even hardly. Second fight of the night, Gilbert Melendez put up his lightweight belt against Shinya Aoki, the Dream champion. The only thing I got to say about that is, if Aoki represents the lightweight division in Japan at Dream, then I'd hate to see that lineup of fighters, dude. That would probably not, it wouldn't stand up to anything we've got over here in the UFC. And it's not that we're American and they're Japanese, because you got to think, guys, most of the UFC fighters, it's a good combination of Brazilians and French and Canadian and American. It doesn't matter. It's just, I don't know, man. It was just a horrible fight. It was very boring. I kind of got into Aoki's sticky jiu-jitsu style, the very, very flashy, showy style of just going straight for submissions. But he left himself open, like, for everything, which was amazing. I didn't understand why he was fighting like that. But Gilbert Melendez looked great. I was actually happy to watch him fight the way he did. I thought he did very good. Now he's coming out kind of saying, I'm the best in the world, I should be a candidate for #1 best lightweight. And, who's going to disagree with him after that performance? Obviously, the UFC holds the title, most importantly for the greatest fighters in the world. If you can prove yourself as a champion there, well, then you've basically proven yourself. And Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn, those are two other guys who might argue the same point of Gilbert Melendez and that who's the best, really, in the lightweight division. Alistair Overeem, for all you guys out there, is finally, after I think 3 years, going to defend his heavyweight championship at Strikeforce for the first time. For the first time! They should have stripped him a long time ago. He's going to defend it against Brett Rogers. Like, I give a shit. Brett Rogers lost his last fight, guys. Why aren't they throwing it at Fedor? I don't know, maybe there's some disputes there, I don't know, whatever. Brett Rogers doesn't deserve the title shot. He lost his last fight. I know he's undefeated before that, he's knocked everybody out, but seriously, come on. I don't know what's happening here with Strikeforce. I don't buy into it, and either one of these guys fighting for a title right now is beyond me, because Alistair Overeem should have been stripped of his title a long time ago. When you win a belt, you defend that belt, and he hasn't defended it in like 3 years. What the hell's going on? I don't know. So, yeah, I don't care about that. That's whatever to me. Big deal. Jake Shields taking on Hendo. That was huge. I was very impressed with that fight. No excuses for Henderson. I know Frank Shamrock and Ronaldo were saying, well, cutting weight to 15 pounds, whatever. But Dan Henderson's doing that for years. Olympian wrestler. UFC, 2-time simultaneous Pride 2 weight classes champion. There's no excuses, bro. He came out and exactly what he said he was going to do is he did. Jake Shields, I guess, knew it at first. I mean, he caught him in the first round. You thought the fight was over, but, you know, credit to Jake Shields' chin for, you know, every time he hit the canvas, he woke back up and he was able to defend back against the fight, and then ended up dominating on the ground game with jiu-jitsu and ground and pound. It was phenomenal. If he had a little bit more power behind those punches, he could have knocked out Dan Henderson. But Henderson's biggest mistake was sticking with the one game plan. Boom. And it only worked twice because I guess Jake Shields knew exactly what was coming. So, you know, that was a pretty decent main event. If Henderson would have won the belt, it wouldn't have mattered to me anyway. I don't feel like him winning a belt in any other organization right now means anything. He couldn't get there in the UFC. He lost both his pride belts at the UFC and then couldn't get a title fight. You know, whatever. Win a title somewhere else, it means nothing to me. It's just a trophy, as far as I'm concerned. Even though I'm a fan of Dan Henderson. So, you know, yeah, Jake Shields, you know, retained his title after 5 rounds. And then after the main event, this is what I'm kind of wondering why really nobody's talking about it. There was a brawl. It was a huge freaking brawl, man. Mayhem Miller got jumped by Diaz brothers and Gilbert Melendez and the rest of their crew. Everybody was throwing fists and kicking dudes on the ground. Nick Diaz got hit a few times. Mayhem Miller looked like he was beat to crap for a second there. Looked like he was pretty dazed and out of it, didn't know what was going on. Dude, I mean, I love a big-time fight as much as the next guy. Who doesn't love a melee? But that's why we go to YouTube.com and look up stupid bum fight type stuff, because that's where that stuff belongs. Right now, at a time when the sport is still very, very young, we're still having to prove that this sport is, you know, not a crazy, violent field of people. You know, I know a brawl in the cage is not quite as much as, you know, let's say a celebrity athlete like a football player murdering somebody and getting away with it, which that's never happened before in the history of the world. It's just a brawl in a cage, but it was still unsanctioned. It was a less, you know, lack of control. It just didn't help any. And I doubt, you know, I'd be interested to see if CBS even puts another fight card for Strikeforce on the air anymore, because you know, and if they don't, I'll be disappointed. Obviously, I'll watch Strikeforce, but I mean, seriously, after that last fight card and after the way everybody conducted themselves, if it were up to me, you know, those fighters would have been fined and some of them suspended. Strikeforce should be hit with a fine, you know, for allowing that kind of conduct out of their fighters to happen on a program. And CBS should probably just cancel the whole contract. If it were up to me, that's how it would be handled. Anyway, I'm Derek Evil. Peace. I'm out of here. Strikeforce sucks.